Sports talk conversations with a good laugh mixed in. This is the Sports Talk with Thetford and Ashby podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
I'm Mike Hebert, owner of Cantex Roofing and Construction. Every day is game day, and we'll get it right when it comes to your roofing, construction, windows, and mirrors. Call Cantex Roofing and Construction today. Together, we are one serving you.
Cardinal Sports Center bringing you this portion of our program. We're proud to have them with us, and Brad Wyatt and all that he does there, and they got some special things going on, Gary. And we'll talk about that later when we don't have Bill, because we need to spend a little time on that.
Quality time with
Quality
Bill.
time. Well, we got Bill here, and he knows about Cardinal Sports Center. He's been around. Bill has. How long were you in Lubbock, Bill?
What's that?
How long were you
there? I was there for 4 years, 1981 to 1985.
Yeah.
Now, were you just looking for a way to get out of here?
I was looking for a wife is what I was looking. I stayed 2 years longer than what I anticipated or wanted to initially, because I met Stacy. And so I stayed 2 more years and then took her kicking and screaming to San Antonio in 1985 or January of 86.
Is she still unhappy?
Well, once I got her to Dallas,
it was better.
She improved considerably. By the way, I got some breaking news here. You're asking about Dylan Gabriel.
Yeah.
18 minutes ago, he committed to the University of Oregon. So he is your new Oregon Duck quarterback.
How about that?
So,
yeah, because Bo Nix is gone, isn't he?
That's right. Yep, he's headed to the NFL draft.
Yep. Who's going to win the Heisman?
I just saw something here on Twitter or X or whatever you call it now about the Heisman. I had to sit there and think, who are the candidates again? When one of my guys isn't a candidate, I don't pay attention. I think the quarterback from LSU, Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, I think that's what everybody's thinking.
Yeah.
And Bo Nix had a great year. You know, we should have beat Oregon here. You saw that game.
I know it.
We really should have beat them. We had
the ball on final drive of the game, and a chance to either tie or take the lead, and
Hey, college football and NFL too, because I noticed the other day, I think 7 games went down to the final field goal in the final minute or something in the NFL. Yeah. It's such a fine line between winning and losing nowadays. And I mean, people, millions of dollars are at stake. People's jobs are at stake. So when people say about replay, I hate replay. I don't. I want to get it right because there's so much at stake nowadays.
But they need to do it quicker, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, they can do it quicker.
Usually when they show it, I know I'm sitting at home watching on TV, and I go, well, he was out of bounds.
Right.
And then 10 minutes later, they go, he was out of bounds.
Yeah.
And they have done a better job here lately of even having communication with a central office, at least in the NFL, where they will correct it without even having to go to review.
There you go. Hey, tell us the story that you left off. Was it about South Lake Carroll?
They played. Byron Nelson has a really good team this year, and it's located just right next door to South Lake. Mm-hmm. And of course, they've been in their district the last 5 or 6 years, and so they always want to beat South Lake. Well, this year they played South Lake and beat them 34-17, and the final score was not as close as that. I mean, the game wasn't as close as that final score. They just buried them. It was unbelievable. And but they turned around and they played last week in the regional championship game. And I have never seen a better coaching job than what I saw Riley Dodge and his defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator do for Carroll. They beat them. Carroll beat Byron Nelson. It was 56-0 midway of the third quarter, 42-0 at halftime. It was the absolute. I think what happened was when they lost to them in October, they realized, you know what? We can't win games unless we actually prepare for games. And I think that they put their nose to the grindstone, and so Friendship got a taste of that on their way to that last week. Yeah. Now, having said that, they're playing a Big 12 team today in DeSoto, and I don't give them much chance against DeSoto. But DeSoto beat Dunk. That's how good DeSoto is this year. They beat Duncanville by 2 touchdowns in the regular season.
Well, you sound like you've got an interest in this game. What is your interest other than it's going to be a good athletes?
Well, I've got we've lived here in South Lake for since 1990, actually in Grapevine, which was in the Carroll School District since 1990. So all those teams that Todd Dodge coached going back in the 20 years ago now, where he had a run of 4 state championships in 5 years. I just have follow the school real closely. Okay. So
you interviewed him, didn't you? You had him on TV.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Hey, I opened the show with today, but Seth Parr is the coach at Anna now. They're in the state championship game, and he was at Coronado for 7 years, and he's a Plainview. He's a Plainview guy. He grew up in Plainview, and boy, he's a really good coach. And get a chance, you can do a story about him.
I need to. This week, so they beat Decatur last night.
They beat Decatur, and had them way down. They ended up being 38-27, but they had them down 38-13 or something like that. And then I guess let them score so they didn't feel so bad. And
I heard you talk earlier about Canadian lost to Gunner.
Oh, my gosh.
Gunner, they've got a great defense, and they threw like seven straight shutouts. In fact, I compared it to, remember those Dangerfield teams back in the 80s?
Yeah.
In fact, I remember Post. This goes back to my days in Lubbock. One of the things I'm very proud of in my career when I was working in Lubbock, we started a high school football wrap-up show on Friday nights called the South Plains Wrap-Up. Al Wallace and I hosted it, and it was a 30-minute show on Friday night where our team of photographers would go out and shoot high school games and then bring the video back to the station. We furiously edited and actually it was, and we got a great following. I would be in a mall in Dallas 20 years later and get stopped by someone from Lubbock, and they would say, "Man, I love that South Plains Wrap-Up, that high school show that you did." But anyway, back in the day, Post had a little running back named Milton Williams. David Thompson was the coach at Post, and the Bold Gold Antelopes made it to the state semifinals, but then they had to play Dangerfield, and Dangerfield beat them. But and that was a year. Dangerfield, I think that season, they gave up 8 points all year.
It's like that Estacada team.
Estacada team in 68. They gave up 32 that year.
Wow.
32 points. Their first year to play varsity football, and they won state.
I have such fond memories of covering sports in Lubbock. In fact, what I tell kids coming out of college now, go to a town like Lubbock and work there your first job. And it wasn't just because back then it was a Southwest Conference school, and you got and made those contacts with other media members from bigger markets, whatever. But a lot of it is the high school football too. I mean, I remember covering those Littlefield teams and Jerry Blakely, back in the 80s. My first day on the job there, I went in a helicopter. Only time I've ever been in a helicopter in my life. It was November of 80, actually November of 81, and went in a helicopter. We went to New Deal, and Buster Leaf was the head coach there. And Buster wound up, he was a head coach at larger schools, of course, in the Lubbock area, but he wound up being
at Monterey.
At Monterey. And then he was the athletic director at Louisville ISD. And I think his son, he's somewhere out in West Texas, Monty Leaf. But anyway, and then went to Floydada, the Whirlwinds. L.G. Wilson was the head coach. And then we went to Whit Harrell, a 6-man team. And we wound up at Littlefield with Jerry Blakely. I mean, that's 40 years ago.
And you remember Scott Blakely, who was his son, who played?
I never met Scott, but
they're one of our sponsors on our show now. Scott's in Midland, and J&W Services, Linco Distributors. Those are tech guys. And Scott Blakely, who was a great player at Littlefield back when you were doing the stuff.
Yeah, Littlefield had a great running back named Steve Green. He went to Texas A&M. Didn't do anything but I think they went all the way to state semifinals that year.
I'll be.
I want to go back to something Bill said about he tells young people, go to a town like Lubbock, and then you can work your way to the bigger markets.
Stepping stone.
We've got Karen and Abner and John Robertson that are still here, very, very happy.
And very professional.
In this teeny-weeny little market out here we call Lubbock.
Exactly. And you know what? from a sports standpoint, I would have been content to work in Lubbock and especially live in Lubbock. I mean, shoot, Billy, he had to move to Mississippi and then he came back to Lubbock, and raised his kids there, the first 10 years of their life or whatever it was. But, the problem for me is I was getting my top salary in Lubbock was $20,000 a year. And so I was not going to be able to stay as a sportscaster in Lubbock and raise a family. I have to do what John Harris did, which was go off and do something else. And, John Harris could have worked in any market he wanted to in the country. He's as good as any network broadcaster you could find. And but he was content in his heart to stay in Lubbock and loves Lubbock. And my hat's off to him too. I mean, I many ways wish I wasn't so career motivated, that I would have been content to be able to stay in Lubbock. Lubbock is one of the greatest towns. It's the best thing that happened to me in my life was going to Lubbock and working there for obvious reasons with the family. Yeah. But even just it's a great place to live.
Well, I'm glad I brought that up, gave him a chance to redeem himself.
Yeah, because you made it sound like we were nobody. Well, we're visiting with Bill Jones if you want to write letters. Yeah. And he's you host the Cowboy Show, don't you?
Yep. Mike McCarthy, for some reason, didn't make it to his TV show this week.
He didn't? Well, they had that game last night. Did you ask him about that?
That's right. Well, you may have heard he had an emergency appendectomy on Wednesday.
Yeah. Oh. No, I didn't know that. He did.
No, he got to work on Wednesday morning, started having pain, and they rushed him to the hospital, and he had emergency appendectomy. And it was a scope job, so he was released from the hospital Thursday morning, but he missed practice on Wednesday and Thursday. He was back yesterday, and he's going to be calling plays on Sunday.
You like it. You like
Zoom and everything. You can still do your work and be in surgery, I think.
Is he the guy? Is Coach McCarthy the guy that can lead us to the promised land?
I think he can. And I think a lot of it is because of the coaching staff around him too. Dan Quinn on defense and Brian Schottenheimer doesn't get a lot of recognition because he's not the play caller, but he is the quote unquote offensive coordinator, and he works hand in hand with McCarthy as far as putting the game plan together. So there was more responsibility on him this week, including doing the TV show. And Brian Schottenheimer is the son of the late Marty Schottenheimer, and the relationship that Brian has with McCarthy goes back to when Marty Schottenheimer was coaching the Kansas City Chiefs back in the 90s. They were on the same staff together. Yeah. So
it's pretty fun. You got a really good job, don't you? It's a lot of fun. You get to see a lot of cool things.
It is fun. And now being at the Star in Frisco rather than at Valley Ranch. At Valley Ranch, we used to get to the TV studio. You had to walk through the coaches' offices, basically the hallway that were the coaches' office. So you would have interactions with coaches all the time. I mean, I went to the restroom as much as I could, just in the hopes I'd catch a coach in there and I'd be able to get some information.
Yeah, they say it was a little creepy, but don't worry about it. How come Bill's always in the restroom?
Yeah, I don't know why he's in there all the time. But at the Star, we're in separate wings. I mean, we might as well be doing our stuff in Fort Worth rather than in Frisco.
Well, you think that's why they did it, because you were
at the bathroom? We tried to keep the media out. That's
okay. Right. weren't they wanting to get rid of the coach last year? Am I wrong?
Hey, you know what, Gary? A month from now, if he loses the first playoff,
I'll be ready to get rid of him again.
They'll probably be getting rid of the coach. Doesn't matter how good a season he has.
What'd you think about Jerry Jones and Jimmy Johnson having that kumbaya moment? Wasn't that? Did you like that?
I liked it.
They come together.
Obviously, long overdue.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, I would not don't diminish the role that Troy Aikman had in making that happen.
Oh, is that right?
Yep. In fact, my little birdie tells me that Troy was instrumental in convincing Jerry to do it and do it now. In fact, what you're going to see, I think it's Netflix is doing a documentary on the life of Jerry Jones or a day in the life of Jerry, where they've got cameras that are following Jerry all over the place.
Well, I'm looking forward to not seeing that.
Yeah.
Well, here's one thing you'll want to see is Jimmy. It was a couple of weeks before the announcement was made. He had Jimmy fly to Frisco, and they had TV cameras all in the room and everything. And Troy was there also. And it's the scene where Jerry tells Jimmy that, hey, I want you in the Ring of Honor. I mean, it was obviously it was going to happen at that point once he said, hey,
I saw that live, and
Frisco.
And
it's pretty emotional.
I thought it was good that they did that.
Yeah.
But I still haven't come all the way back to the Cowboys after the way.
What was so mad about? What was the deal? Jimmy was, of course, Jimmy, in my opinion, Jimmy was the reason we were good, and one of the main reasons.
Yeah.
He was a really good coach.
Yep. Well, the thing about it is with Jimmy, he had a short shelf life wherever he coached. And, now obviously he was at Oklahoma State for about 5 years and went to Miami. He was taking better jobs when he was moving up. But Jimmy's personality and his work ethic and everything that he threw into whatever he was doing was so much that it took a lot out of him. And I remember after that 93 season, the second Super Bowl, I mean, he was emotionally and physically spent. He right after that was over, he immediately left and went to the beach. And then that's when they had their falling out, was a month or so later. He was at the owners' meetings in Florida, and he was yucking it up with some of the coaches, and Jerry felt kind of left out, and there's a famous story of a toast that they did, and Jerry wasn't a part of it, and I don't know. It all sounds
Got his feelings hurt.
Yep.
Yeah, right.
Power struggle.
Ego thing.
Yeah.
Sports talk conversations with a good laugh mixed in. This is the Sports Talk with Thetford and Ashby podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Hey, J&W Services, Inco Distributors, Midland, Texas. These are great Red Raiders down there, y'all. They love Texas Tech. They are Texas Tech people, but they'll help you other people. There's just lots of Red Raiders down there. And if it has to do with the wellhead, oil and gas, I'm telling you, every phase of the business, I can't imagine a thing they couldn't help you with in the oil and gas business in Midland,
David
Texas.
and I toured that thing, and
It blew me away how impressive it was, what they can do. Great people, Brent Beck, Scott Blakely, Cade Walton, tremendous team of Red Raiders down there taking care of the oil and gas business. All right, Matt Dowdy's here. That was fun having Bill Jones on.
That was pretty cool. Yeah, I listened on my way in, and, Bill's one of the top media, I want to say personalities, but journalists, not only in DFW, just state of Texas as well. And
so you're saying he really doesn't have all that good a personality?
He's very good at what he does. Let's put it that way.
He is very good. And you're very good at what you do. And did you ever think, Matt, that you'd be having this job? I mean, it's a big job that you've got.
Yeah, I sometimes have to probably pinch myself a little bit and make sure I'm not dreaming. But it's a fun job. I'm very lucky in the sense that I've had good teachers, good opportunities.
Tell everybody your official title.
Assistant AD for communications in athletics.
He takes care of Coach McGuire. If Coach McGuire's somewhere, this guy's there too.
Well, who all do you go back to?
Chris, and it's ironic because Chris Cook was out at practice yesterday. He hired me as a student at the behest of one Sheila Tucker, who used to be the longtime admin assistant for communications office, and then Blaine Beal hired me full time. So very fortunate to both of those people, and then ultimately Craig Wells approved it. So Craig Wells and Gerald Meyer. So it's a lot of
Bill's
people
heading up our centennial deal, isn't he?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
he's done a wonderful job with that.
Well, I'll tell you this: after you get through with the football season, which won't be too long, on Tuesdays, Craig and Gerald join us for lunches. And Gerald's very regular, and Craig's somewhat haphazard doing it, but his deal.
But Gerald's there every Tuesday.
Yeah. We'd love to have you come.
I'll stop by sometime. I talk to Craig usually before every home football game, but talk to him pretty regularly.
Okay.
Good. That's a good one, too. Mm-hmm. Craig Wells.
Is he trying to get insight on who to bet on, or what do y'all talk about?
That would be illegal for me to even help him with. So.
Yeah. Oh, there's rules. I thought we did away with all rules.
No, there's very much rules about that one.
Yeah.
Big
you want to
time
get
rules on that
fired.
one.
You want to get fired, break
That
that rule.
That's the first time I've ever seen this, Matt. That can vanilla, zero sugar Coca.
Did he bring it in with him?
Yeah, I hope.
It's my go-to in the morning.
Is that pretty good?
Yeah, it's very good.
And it's,
Vanilla Coke.
Yeah.
but zero sugar. Yeah,
Yep.
It's hard to order anymore. What do you have? I think I'll have a vanilla Coca-Cola, zero sugar.
It's hard to find. You pretty much have to be
I've
at
never
the right.
seen that before.
United has it.
Okay. Well, that's a
there you
good
have it.
one. Well, they're United sponsoring our deal for the road to Shreveport.
You know, they do a lot for athletics. Feel like throw them in a couple extra sound plugs.
Oh, yeah. What have they been for Lubbock through the years? Yeah. It's been amazing.
Yeah, without a doubt. Well, you talk about the road to Shreveport, David. When does your road start to Shreveport?
Officially, we get on a plane Wednesday morning, but it's been kind of a 2-week project to this point. Once we got back from Austin a couple of weeks ago, of course, you don't know where you're going. So,
we thought we were going to Phoenix.
And for a period of time, so did I at one point.
Yeah.
And so Phoenix, I thought it was always going to be either Phoenix or Shreveport. And the thing with Shreveport, to where you had to get prepared so quickly, is it's December 16th.
Right.
Next Saturday is our bowl game. And so not a lot of turnaround. There's a lot that goes into a bowl, not just from my end, but you look at Antonio Huffman, Quentin Jordan, Harrison Hanna, who run the operations side of the football program, and they got to get plane charters, hotels, all that squared away in a 24, 48-hour period. So the December 16th date is the earliest Tech has ever played a bowl game. So that's obviously a quick turnaround.
Is this Harrison Hanna? Is he the guy that took Tommy? He would be the Tommy. You don't really replace Tommy McVeigh.
You don't replace Tommy McVeigh. I would say the things Tommy McVeigh previously did, no disrespect to Harrison, multiple people do.
Oh.
So Coach McVeigh was always, especially late in his career when he was working for Coach Kingsbury, he was the liaison to the NFL scouts. Sammy Morris does that now for the football program, and Sammy does a fantastic job.
Sammy's doing good.
He has he has instant credibility too. In a 10-year NFL career, he was a strength and conditioning coach in the NFL, and so
Sammy is put together now.
Yes.
Do you think you could whip Sammy?
I wouldn't even.
You think
consider
could the three of us together
No.
whip Sammy?
No,
If you didn't see us coming with a bat.
even still.
Yeah, I don't think.
How
I
about
agree.
CJ IU? I didn't know IU outside
one
linebacker.
of the best outside linebacker coaches in the country. You look at Tyree Wilson last year. That's CJ IU quite a bit as far as just development, putting him and challenging him. He was going into last year. He already knew he had the opportunity to be a first round, even second round guy. But he had to. You can be talked about in the summer. You still got to go out and do it. And CJ's also done a really good job of developing young guys. Last year, Isaac Smith, but then this year, guy like Dylan Spencer, Joseph Adedire. There's some good outside linebackers in that room.
We need to get Gary. We need to do a better job, and Matt's the guy that can help us do it. We need to have Kenny Perry on our show at some time. He's a really cool dude and associate head coach. And Tim DeRuiter, we've never had Coach DeRuiter on that I can remember. And Zach Kitley.
Y'all would Coach Perry would be a great guest on this.
He'd be fun.
He's and I say that knowing he's one of the funniest, best assistant coaches I've ever worked with. So y'all would enjoy him quite a bit as a guest. He actually speaks to our media every week during the season on Tuesdays, and it's among the highlights of the week for us.
Who goes down to Midland with y'all?
It kind of varies right now. Not we don't do an individual week per week, but the Red Raider Club, I know this fall, Coach McGuire went during the open week, along with several members of his staff. Coach Tadlock's been down there, Coach McCaslin, and a few others. And so
that's good.
Midland's still big priorities, home away from home, as Kirby likes to say. And so a lot of the weekly luncheons that Coach McVeigh used to do, we try to do the best we can with getting staff and coaches down there as often as we can.
Y'all put a quote in here from Kim Mulkey. I don't know whether you saw Kim Mulkey this past week.
Wait a minute. You're saying in our
Yes, about
Texas
Joy
Tech
McGuire.
Media
About Joy
Guide,
McGuire, because she worked
there's
with
a
him at
quote
Baylor.
from Kim Mulkey.
From Baylor. It's very complimentary. She did a nice job.
They are. I don't know how often they talk presently, but I know over time there's been quite a friendship formed between Coach Mulkey and Coach McGuire's family. I think even so much that I think Debbie and Reagan McGuire, I believe the Final Four might have been in Dallas last year, saw one of their Final Four games.
They're good friends.
Yeah.
Well, I saw her last week in an interview. You know, she dresses up so like she's in some kind of Broadway show or something.
Yes.
But I saw her. She was doing a post-game interview, and it looked like she's quit trying. I mean, she looked like she had been in a marathon run or something. It was not good.
Yeah, Matt, what do you think about that?
I didn't see it. Don't have a comment on it.
She looks.
I bet we'd like her if we got to know her.
Jody Conrad was that
There's
way.
a better than good chance.
We like Jody Conrad. What is that? You got Christmas music?
You thought it was the second coming and we were still here. No, it's just a little hallelujah to remind me to pray.
You know, I watched a movie the other day about the second coming and the rapture.
Yeah.
And some of these, I'm getting where I want to have pilots that aren't Christians when I fly. Because if the rapture comes while we're flying,
well, you're assuming you're still going to be on the plane?
No, I won't be. But I feel bad for the other people.
So, well, where'd Gary go? And the pilot.
Well, I'll be gone. I'm going to be.
I'm gone.
I'm raptured. But there'll be people on there that won't be, and it'll be tense for them for a few minutes.
Well, I think you just probably soon die if you don't.
Yeah.
If you don't make the cut, I think you just soon die.
Right. You didn't make the team.
Yeah.
Anyway.
What do you think about that, Matt?
How do you feel about the rapture?
We should have had and we still could. We should have had a Shreveport.
Who do we know from? We don't know anybody from Cal. You know, Aaron Rodgers. We tried to get hold of him. He wouldn't be on.
I think he's pretty much reserved for one podcast interview per week.
Yeah,
Aaron Rodgers. You know, between Tech and Cal, one person who comes to mind always is Davis Webb, just because he left here to go play at Cal.
That's
and
right.
Like when people look at people leaving Texas Tech, like Davis Webb is a proud Texas Tech graduate. Like he's on the sidelines for the Wyoming game. Unfortunately, only one person can play that position at a time, and so that was the best move for Davis Webb. And honestly, it sometimes
depends on how you leave. You know,
yes,
you leave.
and Davis,
Can we get him on? You think
Davis? I'm going to say that he's the QB coach for the Denver Broncos. I'm going to say the Denver Broncos.
I didn't know he was that big.
They
a deal
travel
already.
Saturday morning. Yeah, he's the he retired from active playing this last year. I believe he finished up with the Giants, but he was just so. I mean, there's multiple articles out there about how he's just so highly regarded when he was a player, as a scout team player, backup, for his just knowledge of the game. It led to, I mean, he's Russell Wilson's QB coach with the Broncos.
Y'all win awards.
Russell's having a good year.
Do y'all win awards for these media guys? This is amazing, Matt. How good this is.
I would hope we do if we actually submitted it, but
God,
you know,
it's awesome.
A lot of work goes into that, and just the history of Texas Tech, and you know,
Are there any typos?
I'm sure there's.
It's unbelievable how many letters are in this.
The running joke every year when that goes to print is we'll get it back a week later printed, and we'll start flipping through there, and it's always within a minute or two we find an error we would notice, maybe not everyone would notice, and so
this is amazing.
But
how good
there's
this is.
there's a lot of work that goes into that. So as I said before the break, I heard y'all talking about trivia, so I figured I'd give y'all a little bit of history to kind of for future weeks.
Yeah, this is a ton of it.
For that time, we're just going to open it up to a certain page, and we'll talk about that page. You ready?
All right, ready.
Okay, year by year. Let's just do.
What page you on?
Well, let's do this after Matt leaves, because we need to talk to Matt about the bowl game.
Well, and it's ironic you opened to that page because it's the early part. If you're looking, it's the early part and year-by-year results of Coach Spike Dykes' tenure. And 1988 or 1986, his first game as our head coach was in the Independence Bowl.
That's right, against Ole Miss.
Ole Miss.
And we got 20-17.
His final bowl game was also 1998 in the Independence Bowl against Ole Miss as well. So it's our first trip there since 1998. We won't be playing Ole Miss, but we'll be playing a good Cal team.
Well, and there's a little blurb in here on David McWilliams, about this big, because he was only here 1 year, and then Spike coached in that bowl the year after David went down to UT for the greener grass on the other side of the fence. So, anyway, all right.
That is kind of unique that came up like that. There was Spike in the Independence Bowl, his first game and his last.
Yep.
And his last game.
Not his last bowl game.
Last bowl game.
Last bowl game.
Yeah. That's pretty interesting.
Last game was OU, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
And we won. Had a babe Spike.
Wasn't Cliff Kingsbury the quarterback?
Yes, he was. Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe that was Cliff's first ever start.
Yeah.
That game. He had played a little bit earlier in that season, but
I was looking at this. I printed this out from M3, whoever those people are, M Cubed. Texas Tech, we have a great – so Larry Anderson, we had lunch on Thursday. He comes up with all this stuff. We're 16, 23, and 1 in our bowl games. Now, we played in a lot of bowl games. This will be our 41st.
We're in the top 20.
Yeah, on Saturday – when we play on Saturdays, we're 3 and 9. When we play on Tuesdays, we're 4 and 1.
I believe we played on. I may misspeak here, but I think we played on Tuesday last year in the Texas Bowl. Yeah, I actually hadn't looked at the Saturday day of the week records by bowl, but
it doesn't matter.
I mean, the amount of bowl history this university has is substantial when you look around. College football tied for 20th nationally in total bowl appearances. And then, when the Big 12 moves to a new 16-team format next year, obviously 2 schools leave that have more bowl appearances than us. But when the Big 12 has its 16 members next year, Texas Tech will be at the very top in all-time bowl appearances.
Oh, wow.
So West Virginia and BYU have 40 after this season. West Virginia is in the Duke's Mayo Bowl. BYU's not.
BYU has 40 right now. Will they have 41 like us?
No, they're not. They're not in the bowl.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So we passed them.
Yep.
Yeah. So BYU's pretty good.
I forgot what the number I saw. They had consecutive bowl streak.
Pretty good program.
10 plus years. And so
I asked Gary last week. I said, "Who in the Big 12 basketball are we going to beat?" Then I saw West Virginia play.
It's going to be a competitive league.
Horrible. They are no good. They've won 1 game.
Well, we need more.
We need more of them. Yeah. That may be the only team in the Big 12 that isn't great. It's amazing how good these teams are, including us.
Yes. Yeah. It's going to be a competitive league. And
we lost one of our best players.
Yes, we did. Yeah. But kind of what Coach McCaslin's building right now.
Yeah.
A lot of depth.
Now, we got to go to a break here in just a second, but I will say this. Coach McCaslin hadn't been playing many players this year, 7 or 8 a game. Yep. Then you lose one, and you're fixing to have to drag somebody onto the court that hadn't played much. So I'm a big believer in these early games. Get some guys out there on the court, and because some guys aren't great practice players that are better game players, and some are just the opposite of that. So anyway. All right, we'll be back with Matt Dowdy and more sports talk with Thetford and Ashby right after this.
Sports talk conversations with a good laugh mixed in. This is the Sports Talk with Thetford and Ashby podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Hey, Lubbock Truck Sales, Cody Kinsey, James Kinsey. James said, quit talking about him so much. Gary, is that what he said? You just talked to James the other day.
Yeah, he said y'all talk too much about me.
We don't say that much.
But James is a good guy, and he's a friend.
He's so good. So good.
And Cody's a good guy, and they've built quite a business out there.
It's phenomenal. Any kind of truck you're looking for, tractor, trailer, they've got a big, huge service department. They get parts for you. It's just first class. Anywhere in this part of the country,
If I was a trucker, and I'm not, but if I was a trucker, I would write down that number because they can tow you in, and there's not many people who can tow those big 18-wheelers.
They can do it. Get you in there, get you fixed up. That's what they can do at Lubbock Truck Sales. Matt Dowdy is here. We're proud to have him here with us. He's doing a great job with Texas Tech and in particular football. But Matt's kind of the go-to guy if you need to, we get another coach on or something like that, then he knows the people to call to get it done.
See them quite regularly. In fact, we'll practice later this afternoon and see them.
Yeah,
see them then.
It'll be good. Is everybody excited? I mean, is everybody playing pretty much?
Pretty much. Obviously, there's been some news this week about a few players going into the portal. The thing about, and Coach McGuire actually addressed this to the local media yesterday about, he gives a few of those individuals, if they want to, they help get us to a bowl game by their actions in a regular season. If they want to stay with the team through the bowl game, they can. And you'll see several players who might have determined that it's in their best interest to possibly look at a different school. Several which have degrees from Texas Tech University that'll play in the bowl but may not be with us next year. And that's just kind of I would say it's unique in college football.
I was wondering if is anybody else doing that?
It'd be hard. I'm sure there's others. I would bet there's others, but it's very unique in the sense that Coach McGuire said yesterday. He said, "Hey, once you play for me, you're stuck with me forever." He goes, "I'm going to care about you forever." He goes, "I'm only a phone call away." I tell each one of our players, even if they come in and say, "Hey, Coach, I want to seek playing somewhere else," right. He says, "Hey, I'm a phone call away. If you need something, give me a call." And that's why I think a lot of our players and a lot of our you've seen success early under Coach McGuire because his players genuinely like him, genuinely want to play for him, and so sometimes the decision to transfer is not an easy one for some of these kids because they like the environment, the culture that's kind of being built, but they also might see, hey, I might want a better opportunity to play more, or situations like that.
That's why we'll be successful.
Yes,
because that's the kind of he's going to get players,
and his staff's the same way. His I still remember his very first staff meeting. Once we got back from the Liberty Bowl after the 2021 season, he had hired the majority of his staff at that point, and I was invited to this meeting. All different groups, anyone basically that touched the football program was told, hey, we want to have a complete staff meeting. And Coach McGuire's number one priority when he put on the board was we are going to have relationships with our players and we're going to take care of our players. And so that's stayed true in the 2 years him and his staff has been here, and it shows.
Were there any surprises to you of guys that are going into the portal, or is it pretty much, I sort of thought that needed to happen, or
I joke now with some of our staff that said I don't get surprised very much in this day and age of college athletics, but it's I wouldn't say surprised per se on individuals going in. I thought with the way our season finished and the way we're also recruiting right now that there would be some individuals that might look for better opportunities for themselves. And, several of those individuals will come back in 5-10 years and they're still going to be graduates of Texas Tech University. They've still done a whole lot for this football program. We've won quite a bit of games thanks to several of those individuals. And so, but that's also, that's college football in this day and age. And so one of the biggest things is you're either adapting and being the best at what the rules and what the environment is now, or you can just kind of put your head in the sand and hope it goes away, and it's not. And so I wouldn't say I was probably too surprised, just because I don't get surprised by too much anymore.
That one that surprised me was Miles Price. I just thought, he just seemed like he fit in here so well, and that was the one that jumped out at me. And just go, come on, Miles. So anyway.
Miles is a good kid. Miles is a good kid. I wish nothing but the best for that kid. He's He's got one of the most captivating personalities you'll meet among football athletes, and so. But again, he might feel like he might catch a few more passes in a different offense or with a different team, and so with the transfer portal, that he's got that ability.
Yeah, got that choice. Mm-hmm. All right, we were bragging on Coach earlier about how he is with people. Our recruiting classes seem to be, and we get to sign them here in about a week or two, don't we? A couple of weeks. Mm-hmm. They seem to be way up there.
Yes, yeah. It's the work of Coach McGuire, but also James Blanchard, Nance, Sean Kinney, Pittman. His personnel department has really been a real difference maker, I think, in the first 2 years of Coach McGuire's tenure, in the sense that we have a personnel department which I sit in there. They're all in the west side of the stadium now, the entire football coaching staff, because of construction. They have their own suite 2 doors down from Coach McGuire's office. And I peeked my head in a couple times this week just because I'm a little fascinated by what they do. And they're pull up so and such kid, and they're watching clips and film of, I bet 100 kids maybe in a day. 100. I'm probably underestimating that, but the right now they're focusing on transfers, but in about a week and a half we'll be able to announce 22 or so high school kids, and it'll be another top 25 class under Coach McGuire, which that's how you build success. Yeah. I mean, it's not just built overnight. I mean, a lot of successful programs that you look out there, they are very successful in signing high school kids. And Coach McGuire's philosophy is transfers are kind of C.J. Baskerville, for example, was they specifically targeted him because he was an older safety, can get for a couple years until some of our younger safeties are ready. Mm-hmm. And so kind of an in-between. But the focus is always going to be on the high schools throughout the state of Texas, especially. And I think when I hope we're pretty much done by 8:30 on December 20th. But hopefully by lunchtime we have a top 25 class signed.
Yep. I hope we have a good bowl game. Make everything be happy.
Yes.
Let's make everything be happy.
Bowl success, and of course, Coach McGuire always says the team that wants to be at the bowl the most tends to win.
Yep.
I think that was a big reason why we won each of the last 2 years in bowl games. I think this team, from all accounts for the last week and a half, has shown, hey, we're ready for another opportunity to play this season. And, it can kind of propel you into the offseason.
Yep. I think Cal, coming into this game, kind of is where we are, though. They really finished the season strong. Now, I don't know who's going to show up to play for them, but they really are kind of on a roll at the end of the season.
Yeah, 3 straight wins to get bowl eligible for Cal. It's going to be a matchup of 2 of the best running backs in the country. Between Cal has a sophomore, Ott, I believe is his last name.
Ott. Yeah, Jaden Ott.
13th in the country in rushing yards. And then our own Taj Brooks, who's 4th in the country heading into the bowl game. And, he'll be
the 3rd all-time rusher if he gets 139 yards in the Independence Bowl. Mm-hmm. Who are the top 2?
Top 2 would be a couple
trivia
Doak Walker winners, and Byron Hansford and Bam Morris.
Bam Morris.
Oh,
wow.
So that's in the thing with Taj Brooks is Taj has the opportunity to move up. The funny thing we joke about is Taj is not he's one of my favorite players that we've had come through here in recent years, but he could probably tell you that single season rushing chart list, not because he's focused on that, but because he's been an intern in my office all semester. And so
has he really?
The documents of media quite a bit sees on Mondays. He helps us edit. So
all right. Is there a chance that he would come back next year?
There's always a chance. I think there's always until the thing I always tell people, until you hear it from the kid himself, and a lot of times you're going to hear it from them via social media, till you hear it from the kid themselves,
I'll tell you what helps nowadays. We talked during the break about the portal's not all bad. NIL's not all bad.
Yeah.
NIL might be a reason that we keep him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if he's not going to get drafted, he's going to have to sign a free agent, or he can come back here and maybe we all pass the plate and,
I don't know anything about that, but it's the thing with running backs also is going at the right time. Mm-hmm. It's where our staff does a good job of getting players the information they need to know so them and their families can make a knowledgeable decision. And that is, hey, what are NFL scouts saying? What is possibly your draft grade? Do you think you're going to be invited to the NFL Combine? And I'm not just saying Taj in this example. I'm saying all of our players. And coach just said multiple times, if he has a kid come in and all signs are he needs to go to the draft, he's going to be the first one that says, hey, I'm rooting for you. You need to declare. Yeah. So, and that's the way it should be, because the amount of, you look at Tyree Wilson last year as a first round draft pick. And Tyree actually said this in an interview to when he was a player for us. The opportunities financially for him are significantly better as a first round draft pick if he's taking care of the business the way he should be than even more like NIL based. Not to say NIL is not a part of it, but some individuals think of it more as a long term business strategy of, if I'm really, really good for the next 5 to 10 years, it's life changing. It's life changing for his family. And so, but we try to give those players that information to where they can make the best sound decision.
Yeah, and Taj it's almost a flip of a coin to me. Yeah. Now, of course, I don't have all the information that the coaches and y'all have, but
I'll say this: people see Taj on Saturdays. He leads the country in forced missed tackles.
But I imagine he does. I've never seen anything like it.
Could we come out and see if me and Gary could tackle him?
I can.
Would you set that up?
I'll set it up. I'm also going to set up a few cameras to record it.
And an ambulance.
Like a pay-per-view.
Yeah.
I think we could sell that. He's one of the most genuine.
He's tough.
He's a tough kid, but he is a very great personality, good kid that people should be proud of representing this university.
He runs like he loves it here too.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
he's really trying.
I think Coach said he's gotten a lot of carries this year. He's top 5 single season in carries, and easily the most since we moved to a spread offense. But he's carried 30 or more times, 3 different games this year. No one else in the country's done that, and so he's taken a load.
Yeah.
He's you know what? He'd probably take more of it if he could.
I think more people are getting hurt trying to tackle him than he's getting hurt.
Well, a lot of his yards are after he hit because our offensive line has been sort of average at best. But a lot of them have gone into the portal. Are we going to have enough offensive linemen? I asked you this during the break, but I'm sitting there going, we going to have enough to play in the bowl?
Easily, yeah. We Ty Buchanan will start at left tackle, and that's really from our regular starting 5. The only spot we needed to fill now. Obviously, I realize that's an important spot at left tackle. Ty Buchanan, who's been here 2 years now, very gifted young offensive lineman, will play left tackle, and then the rest of our starting offensive line will be there. And we may actually, hopefully, get some good news. I think Coach alluded to it the other day about possibly Cole Spencer, who started off the year as our left guard, possibly being he's been out injured, but possibly being back for the bowl games.
Oh, wow.
Let me ask you something, and I hope you got to be a part of this. These are so cool when these happen. Jordan Brown, Gino Garcia, our kicker. Mm-hmm. Were you in the room?
I was in the back of the room. I don't miss that.
Isn't that the coolest thing?
We found out Coach was going to do that about 2 or 3 hours in advance. I don't miss that one. That's one of my favorite. And
they had no idea, did they?
They had no idea. Jordan Brown has been a very, very good for us this year. And then Gino Garcia, take away the Wyoming game. Completely take it away.
I was a little worried about it.
Take that game away. He's one of the most accurate kickers in college football.
He's phenomenal.
We looked up this the other day. We're pretty close. I feel pretty confident in saying he's the only kicker in our history who's made 3 50-yard field goals in the same season. He was 9 for 10 there in Big 12 play. He's made, I think, 11 out of his last 12. I mean, we don't win a few games if it's not for Gino Garcia.
That's right, without a doubt.
He's been pretty good.
All right,
really good.
We know you got work to do. Would you rather go to work or would you rather stay here for a while?
We don't have long.
I'll do one more with y'all.
Okay.
Good.
Well, you'll take us to the end of the show then. We appreciate it.
You.
We're glad you did. Glad you did this.
All-Star, and we got guys going to the – I had the Big 12.
All Big 12?
Yeah. Our kicker, McNamara.
Yes, one of the best punters easily in the country.
Yeah, punter. Excuse me. I said kicker.
I'm biased, of course, but
you notice how he corrected you without really correcting you?
Yeah,
punters,
that's
kickers,
a professional.
That's a
trained
professional. He's right. It's a punter.
He can kick as well.
You've been listening to the Sports Talk with Thetford and Ashby podcast from Double T 97.3. Catch the show live Saturday mornings from 9 to noon on Double T 97.3 FM or on the Double T 97.3 mobile app.